This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from ACOFAE, the Black Witch Chronicles, and the Infernal Devices, with mentions of The Cruel Prince, The Vampire Diaries, and House of the Dragon. For full lists, please see show notes. There's also discussion surrounding grief and death of a family member.
Everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Book 3 in the Dark Artifices. This is A Queen of Air and Darkness. And our very own Jessica Marie has something that she would like to say to all of us.
I fucked up so bad. I said in the past 2 episodes of The Dark Artifices, you could totally start here. Like, I totally get it. Like, this is a fine place to start. You'll go back to wanting to meet and know the other characters. I fucking lied. I lied so hard. I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to say because I read this book and the amount of times that I texted Laura saying, I was wrong. You can't do this first. There's so many things. You have to do it in the order in which we read. If you want the emotional impact, I mean, if you're not an emotional reader, that's cool. I guess it doesn't matter what order you read it in. But what I tell you, I've spent the last 2 days, like my lashes are dry from all the salt water and the tears coming out. Also, like, disclaimer, I'm a Libra moon. We're in Libra season. So that's where we are. Here we go. Here we fucking go.
Here we go. This book is thick. This is probably going to be a long episode. I was looking at the pages to actually show my mom. My mom wanted to know what we were reading. And the last page that I looked at was like 888. So she's big. She's thick. We love her.
Over 30 hours on Audible, which is how we both read it.
Yes, which is exactly what I want to start off by saying is, we read this through Audible and Mr. James, my goodness, Mr. Marston, oh my goodness. The Audible audio narration here is so amazing. I cannot stress how good it is. So James Marston was Spike in Buffy. That's how everybody knows him. He was also in Torchwood and he's done a bunch of like bit stuff. But fuck me, he's so good here.
So good. If he doesn't work on camera at all for the rest of his career and he's just strictly an audio book narrator. And I think it's also a perfect example that just because you're an actor doesn't necessarily mean that you're a great audio narrator. And he is amazing. He does every character. He does different accents. There's some different various translations where some of the characters are speaking in French or Spanish and he nails them. That man brought in we said this in book 2 because he narrated book 2 as well. He is Julian. He is the Blackthorns. And now, I knew it from the first book, but you've said, Laura, like when you read these, when you're reading the physical copy, you have his voice in your head as well.
It's his voice. It's his like cadence, his rhythm. I will tell you, because this book does like incite rage. Some people, because I was on Reddit for this, some people fucking hate his narration. They hate it. They say he's breathy and he gets really quiet and they don't understand why he does that. And it's so like all over the place and they just want like a straightforward read. And I'm just like, what? No, he is acting.
And to that, I will say, because there were certain parts that I bookmarked, and of course, like if you bookmark back into the audio, if you go to it initially, if you just hit play, it plays it at speed. But then if you hit like go to clip, it plays it at the speed that you heard it. So I can see if, and this goes back to our audio reading versus traditional reading episode, where we say that some people have certain opinions about audiobooks that we had seen online that have been said online, people saying they don't like the speed, and you can adjust that. So now I'm wondering, maybe some of those comments, I read it at a conversational speed. We read it at the same speed at 1.6. Mm-hmm. Some people read faster. Some people do the speed slower. When books are typically at speed, I feel like it takes so long because it's not conversational. Mm-hmm. And so I like to pick it up a little bit, and maybe that's where that opinion came from. I don't know.
I think it's perfect. I think at 1.6, it is not only like a conversation, like a normal kind of thing, but the emotion behind everything that he is putting out there, it is amazing. It is just like and especially because he is a guy. He's a guy doing amazing female voices consistently. Christina is consistent throughout the 3 books. Mark's voice, Kieran's voice, all those accents, everybody is consistent through the whole book. Like, he's just so wonderful. I love him so much, and I'm so happy that he did all 3 of them. I do want to start because his voice really does convey the pain of this opening. And this opening is immediately fucking after the second book ends. Jess, did you expect that?
I was hoping. I didn't want there to be a flash forward, or like, oh, here we are a week later. And I think that's probably because of like From Blood and Ash, from Blood and Ash, and then A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Those 2 picked up immediately, and I read them back to back. So having that same transition, I think as a reader you needed that too, because I mean, when this book was released in 2018, some people are able to do like all the full rereads before the next book comes out. And some people aren't. So I feel like that also helps with, like, I didn't do obviously a reread. We had just read it. But I think that helps if I thought about it then. I'm like, oh wow. Like I remember exactly, picked it right back up where we were and kept going. But how fucking sad. Like, you're still like, oh, there's the pain that I compartmentalized for the last couple weeks.
The part that really gets me, of course, we're opening back up in, I believe it's like the council hall, and Livia has died, and Emma is trying to get to Julian, and Julian is still holding her. And Julian looks at Emma and he goes, I drew so many Aratzis, but like she was already dead, so there was nothing. He was just like so helpless. That is like one of the moments that break me. But I imagine if this ever gets to screen, and I hope it never does because they fuck it up every single time. But that would be like a slow motion, right? Like Emma trying to get,
and then people trying to hold her back, and they're trying to like, well, she broke the mortal instrument, the mortal sword. Like they're trying to hold her back. She's trying to get to her parabatai. Like there's so many freaking factors that are going on. It also kind of reminds me of the one scene in The Cruel Prince where all like everything breaks loose, and then you just have Cardan kind of like lost and dazed and not sure what's going on. I mean, granted, it's very different and similar, but like that slow motion shit, hitting the fan kind of ordeal.
Oh my God. And then Julian, of course, takes a piece of Livy's bloody shirt and ties it around his wrist, and he will not take it off until he has vengeance. That's what he wants. He wants vengeance. And as he's thinking this, his rune starts to burn, and that's like our first instance where we get like that something is really wrong. This is just so fucking awful. This book is about grief, expectedly, unexpectedly, and how, right? And how everybody kind of deals with grief and like deals with, I think Drusilla said it really well. It's like the whole, or Ty said it, like the whole.
Ty said it, and Drew said that was, he described it in Drew said that Ty described it in a perfect way that she hadn't been able to put into words.
And there was a hole where their sister had been. Oh, God. So it's oh my God, it's all about that. Okay. This book is so big. There are so many like pivotal moments. So we're going to try to like briefly touch on just like
as briefly as we can in our Shadowhunters episode.
Yeah, which always tends to run long. But I think we can just go right to Julian running to Magnus and begging Magnus. And we don't know exactly what in this very beginning, but Julian he's begging Magnus to, do something, take away his feelings. And what does Magnus do? He's looking and he sees Will Herondale. That's what he sees. And he quotes, my note says that Julian runs to Magnus in the rain and he goes, Magnus, are you thinking about someone else? And he quotes Will Herondale.
That's exactly, and you sent me that. You said, here's this, no context. And my heart broke. I mean, I'll never not cry when I think about the spiral that is the Infernal Devices and Will Herondale. But everything's so interconnected with this. And I don't know if there's a lot of criticism. I didn't do criticism research for this. I basically finished this book probably 3 hours ago. So it's been all vibes right now. But I don't know if there's the conversation where people say like, oh, there's so much fan service, or, oh, there's all these Easter eggs, because I ate that shit up every time and you were like, look at you making connections. I was like, wait, I know this thing. I know this other thing. And I wouldn't have known it if we didn't read it in the order we fucking read it in. So thank you once again, Laura.
Delicious. Delicious. You are welcome. Here's the thing. This book is difficult because it is about grief, and because of that, and because of the love that I have for the Blackthorns, and because, just as I said to you earlier, this is like Endgame, right? This is everybody coming together. I don't participate in slander about this, so I don't know, but myself, like you, fucking love all of this. Like more crumbs, please. Like I will feast here. Give me all of it, because like. It's just lovely. It's a reward for putting in the work. And we did the numbers. This is book 15 in Shadowhunter World. So we put in the work. And we did it in the order that we did so that it can hit this hard. Because you can do the work in the reverse order and have this not make any fucking sense. So,
Yeah, I feel like if you did it in a different order, like now that I've read all the 3 like pivotal trilogies of this, or, series sections of this entire Chronicles series of sorts, if I did it in any other way, I'd be like, oh, there's that person. Oh, I remember that person from here. Oh, I remember. And that's all that it would have been. And then continue on. Just kind of like some series have books that can be read as a standalone. And so you could read it in whatever order. There's like a lot of like contemporary romance books that do that. But it doesn't take away from the story. It would completely take away from the story at this point.
Something that took me out of the story at this point, Horace Dearborn being named the Inquisitor. Piece of shit.
And Magnus is so tired that not tired. He's sick. He's sick. He's dying.
Yeah.
And he's just like, history
again.
Yes, he's exhausted. He's doing this shit all the time for hundreds of years, and of course he's more sick than some of the other warlocks, because the warlock sickness impacts the oldest ones harder and first. So he's been sick a lot longer than others. Tessa is currently, quote, like the only one who has survived, because she's like part warlock, part Shadowhunter, sorry, because witch and warlock are the same. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of like, her angelic blood has kind of superseded over everything and helping her heal. But there's nothing. No, she's the only one. We know this, that she is the only one of her kind. So people are kind of waiting on bated breath right now.
Yes. Just like everybody was when they watched Ty climb up Livy's pyre. Can you tell me what you were feeling during that?
I'm just crying the whole thing. It's so sad. All of it, and trigger warning grief for this whole episode, time and time again.
Thing.
And I'm going to be super emotional to nobody's surprise. People, I think, who haven't gone through a grieving experience, anybody, I think you think that, it's kind of like a 12-step process or the 5 stages of grief or whatever. But what nobody tells you is that just because you hit steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's over. It goes, you could do like, go to steps 1, 2, 3, and then go back to 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you jump back to 2, and then you can do the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you still, it's never ending. And that's so beautifully portrayed in this book, and you're constantly seeing how other people are handling it. Julian essentially turned off his humanity. That's for anybody who watches the Vampire Diaries. Drew is angry. She's hurt. She's upset. She's questioning everything. And she's also questioning her relationship with her siblings because, Ty and Livy always had each other. So she didn't know where she fit in. Tavi is little. He's kind of like, I'm sad. This doesn't make sense. I mean, even when they tell Tavi what happened, they're saying like, oh, well, Livy's gone. And he goes, that's fine. We can go get her. Like, you just know the innocence that's there. Emma is helpless because she's both part of the family, but also understands that she feels like an outsider despite her parabatai bond. These families are just how their relationships with each other while they're grieving and their relationships as individuals and with themselves. Him going up the pyre is just, and then Julian turning everything off constantly and realizing he needs to be the one who do it. He needs to do this as the constant protector. It's a lot. It's a lot all the time.
It's a lot all the time. So Julian absolutely did turn off his humanity. He has no, he said romantic love, like Magnus's spell would target romantic love, but that it was not perfect and that it would fuck other parts of his life up. And those consequences were unknown and would be unexpected. So because of that, all he knew was the urge to protect Ty. So, and that was stronger and deeper than any sort of magic or anything that he could do. So up he goes. And they say afterwards that his hands were shredded and he didn't even feel it. It was just oh my God, Julian, oh my God. And Ty, oh my God, Ty. But then you have to think Ty this whole time is planning on raising Livy from the dead. He's going up there to get the pyre, to get the necklace so that he can raise her from the dead. And you're just oh my God, Ty.
Well, and it's how he's processing too, because he doesn't go through the grief. And he says that when we're in his POV, because he says he's not processing that they've lost Livy, because to him, he's we're not. If we could raise Annabelle, we can raise Livy. This is fine. I got this. I mean, he later even says to Julian in the episode, or in the book, I'm sorry. He goes, Julian, you've been here for all of us for the last 12, especially once they find out. He goes, it's my time to be here for the family. And Julian's what? And this is when his humanity still turned, or no, his humanity just came back on. And he goes, it's okay. It's my turn to be there for everybody. And we're a good 60% of the way of the book through when he says that. So he's fully going through. He's gathering all the little things. He's getting what he needs to do to the spell to raise Livy. Even though we don't have a body, he's we'll make it work. Something's going to happen. We'll figure it out. It's do first, ask questions about it later. And that's what he's, and Julian's okay, well, you've always been here for the family. So you do you, bro. Just wanted to tell you that I love you. And it's, he's taking a lot of it on for himself too.
He is. My God, Ty. We're going to talk so much about Ty. Jess, you made a fantastic observation here, something that you really stuck on. Tell me why seeing Robert Lightwood's parabatai, why is that a big deal? Why do we care about that?
So we know from all of the freaking things that, okay, so parabatai through all of our little crumbs we've been getting through the whole fucking series, that Parabatai aren't supposed to be in love. That's Julian and Emma's whole plight in this part, in the Dark Artifices. So we know that Robert Lightwood's Parabatai was in love with him, confessed his love to him. Robert Lightwood shunned him because and then you know that also impacts his relationship with his son, Alec. And now, he's building his relationship with Alec and Matt and Magnus, and then they have their grandkids, and now he's been the best grandparent. We also read a novella where they're doing family dinner night, and it was Alec, it was Magnus, it was the kids, it was Robert, and he goes, that was one of my favorite nights. And Alec was just thinking that's so weird. That was one of the most awkward nights for me, but that was one of your favorite memories and times we've ever spent together. They're already having this conversation of wanting Alec to take on this new role, basically replace Robert when Robert retires or dies. Unfortunately, that's where we are now. And then you see that Robert's Parabatai is still they are just because Robert shunned him, that didn't break the Parabatai bond in this afterlife. The connection is just so strong, and you just see him still mourning for his best friend despite how Robert treated him.
And Kit is the only one who sees him, and Kit is who is that? It was just some guy.
When I knew right away. I had to stop what I was reading.
Yeah, and we know that from the fucking research, from all of the books that we did. I believe
putting in the work.
I think specifically that one was from Shadowhunter Academy, that story. But yeah, damn, that was just really something. Then we've got Jem, and Jem gives Kit the glass ring, and Jem shows up and tells about the warlock sickness and how everything is going. My God. During this reread, I knew it was Ragnar. I knew it was Ragnar Fell. I love Ragnar Fell. He's just one of my favorite sassy characters and friends of Magnus. But when he was Shade or whatever his name, I don't know what he was going by. What was he going by?
He was going by Shade. I didn't realize they said Ragnar Shade. I just always heard Shade, so I didn't put the two together initially at all until they said Ragnar Fell. I was like, Ragnar Fell.
Because he's got green, the skin with the horns with the hair, all of it. I was just oh, Ragnar. So the whole time I was just Ragnar, what are you doing, you dramatic little ass? He's so funny. I just love him so much. Okay, so there's just a lot of plot going on here. So let's just kind of break it down. Horace and the cohort are successfully pulling off a coup of the government of the Shadowhunters in Alicante. He's the Inquisitor now.
Usual. Yeah. There's always somebody trying to do something with the politics.
Yeah.
Shadowhunter world.
And the politics here are crazy. So the cohort, and Zara and all of them are really taking over the government, and it's very much Shadowhunters, first. I think they say something similar to that. Nephilim first. I looked at the next page of my thing. It says Nephilim first. So he's very much that. They're very isolationist. Pure blood, fairies are the enemy, the whole thing.
It's very spoiler warning, the Black Witch Chronicles.
Yes.
Noi the Noi. It's also giving certain political affiliation parties and such.
Yes.
There's also, they even say, make Shadowhunters strong again. In quotes, I'm quoting that directly. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So many voice memos to Laura in my rage on this.
Yeah, we all know what this is. We all know what this is. But we're in this story. We're in this story. But we all know. We see. Because it is fucking obvious, especially when you look at when this came out.
Yeah.
So Horace, this little shithole that we have, Horace Dearborn, is pulling off a coup, and he is backhanded, working with Oban, right? It's Oban.
Yeah.
Yeah. To become, so that Oban can become the next king of Fairy, and Oban, as the king of Unseelie, can work with Horus to become just like they just want to do fucking politics and like isolationist, and they want to work together, and Horace is just a little asshole, and he sends Julian and Emma to Fairy because he knows their secret, because he read Robert Lightwood's diary, and Robert Lightwood's diary.
I can't believe Robert wrote that shit down.
Well, to be fair,
I know.
Technology. Okay, I know. To be fair, like technology doesn't work there, and he took like notes to keep a record, and then he like unexpectedly died.
I get it, from like a note keeping sort of political
records,
yeah. When he's doing the whole like separation of church and state. I am currently like state political. I need to separate this from like my personal relationship with them, so I understand that. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still like, fuck, you know. And like, but he just does all. But Horace does that time and time and time again with this like telling everybody's business, and he's like, or I'm gonna tell everybody. But then his little like cunt ass daughter is like saying like, I know your shit because my daddy tells me everything, and I'm like, so you're not keeping it, so just keep your mouth shut.
They're worse people. They're the worst people. They're the worst people. They're the worst people. But Julian and Emma end up going to Fairy, and you know they have the amulets to prevent the time slippage, and they have a map, you know, whatever. They have to go to Fairy, and Horace has sent people to murder them on the way to, you know, on the fucking way. And, you know, there's the Kelpie. I forgot Kelpie's talk. The Kelpie does come in clutch later on.
Oh, yeah. The Kelpie reminds me of I just feel the Kelpie and the Selkies, just like their general communities. I always like confuse them. So seeing Kelpie here as like a horse, because they talk about the bridle, I think in my head it reminded me of the Kelpies from, I guess that makes sense because they're like in Fairy, the Kelpies that they ride over in Fairy in The Cruel Prince.
Right.
That's how. Okay. So, but again, it's like a whole other thing that Dearborn is trying to construct because he wants them to do his dirty work of getting the black book. But that's why he has people following them to kill them and be like, wait till they get the stuff, kill them, and then we could bring the stuff back.
Yeah, because he wants the black volume of the dead. Were you expecting Julian to pull out like a fucking Kinko's copy of the black volume of the dead?
I thought he was going to show them pictures because Ty showed pictures. I wasn't thinking of Office.
Yeah, and Julian was like, nah, I'm going to pay extra, and I'm like buying this shit in plastic. Yeah.
It's like, they got this version from the Lord Office
Max. He's just like, fuck me. Julie, okay. Obviously, I'm on record. Like, I love Kieran. I love Mark. I love Christina. Like, those are my people. But I fucking love Julian. I love Julian so much. He's so scary in moments. And like, this whole interaction that Julian has with the Queen and the Black Volume of the Dead, and just the way that he talks and just everything, when Emma is like, he's different. Something is really different. He would never say this. He would never do something like this. Something has like really changed. I love that. And the whole interaction, and Queen is just like, okay, Julian, the fuck? Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Really love that. There's just like so much. There's just so much. There's just so much.
I know. I feel like we're gonna jump around, but we're trying to stay chronological.
But
so
that's why I'm like, wait. Yeah.
Because okay. So I'll start. Okay. So Emma's saying, something's off. Something's off. I don't know what it is. And flash forward to, I think it's like Act 2 or maybe like part of Act 3 where they go to Magnus. This, you know, obviously this is where she's picking up that his humanity is turned off. And so they flash forward and he even goes to Magnus where he's like, turn it back on. And he's like, you begged me for this. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, I'm coming to you as somebody with no emotion. So I'm thinking logically right now. I am to be the best fighter and shadow hunter that I am, I need that emotion because like if I don't have anything to fight for, like I'm not passionate, I just do it. And even Emma goes, he doesn't know how far is too far without having that emotion. And Julian even recognized that because even when they were, trying to kind of brainstorm with Jace and Clary, Julian's like, no, we're not going to do that. Where Julian with emotion would push, he would even say like, yeah, we're going to do that and we'll figure it out. And, Emma always talks about how clever he is because he's had to be clever because he raised an entire family at 12 while running an institute, while being a diplomat. So even all the strategies that were coming in place, he knew that because of the relationships that he built. And he was able to build those relationships because he had his emotion. He had no other choice. So that's where you're picking up on things. Then he's doing the boy thing where he's like, we could still do this, Emma. Like, you could have my body physically and I definitely want your body physically, but we don't have to have emotions. And she's like, fuck you.
Yes.
Just because you're okay with it doesn't mean I am.
Yeah, she's like, no, get fucked. No, do it yourself. It's not happening. Like,
I love when he's like, I'm going to go in the shower and you better not fucking go in there or I'm going to kill you. And then she goes into the bath. She just needed to like not be around him. And he goes, she didn't turn on the shower.
So funny. Wah. Emma and Julian are betrayed. They are betrayed right after this. They are betrayed by the queen. Yes.
And they expected it. Yes, they expected it. I mean, granted, Julian says, I expected to be betrayed, but I wasn't expecting it to be so soon.
Yeah, I didn't expect it so soon. Damn. So Neen, who is Mark and Helen's aunt,
okay, thank you. I was like, what is their relation again?
Yeah. Okay. Neen rescues them and wants them to like intercept like everybody. There's just a lot going on. But they're trying to get to the Unseelie tower. And to do that, they have to get through the thorns. And this thorn scene was so like, I was just, oh my God, like the whole, and it was scary. Okay. So Julian and Emma are, there's like a fairy, like party trying to get into the Unseelie tower, whatever. They're trying to like sneak in to be safe, whatever. They're trying to get in to the tower without anybody seeing them. And there is a hedge of thorns, but Emma has a knife and she starts cutting. She starts cutting into the thorns and they start giving, which immediately for me, it was like, don't, no. And then she starts like pushing in, right? And Julian is like behind her but then he's like not behind her. And then she turns around and it's just thorns behind her. Oh my God. Stop.
You can see it. Like, I think it goes to what you said earlier. You're like, you never want this. You can see it in your head, the whole thing, but you don't want to see it on screen.
No,
at all.
And I don't want to see this on screen. Right. But like, and the stickiness of the thorns, and then they start like pushing in, and she starts like freaking out, and she like calls out, she's like, I need Cortana, and then she gets what is it? It's Dorandal. Dorandal like comes to her,
like the sister sword or something.
Yeah, the sister sword of the same like temperament. And she just like hacks her way through, and oh my God, that was so fucking cool. And then it just disappears. And it just shows like, and like she needed a sword, and Cortana like gave her, like Dorandal. It's just amazing. That's just such a great, that's powerful as fuck. That is just cool as hell. I love it. And then we have, right from that, they get into the throne room, and then we have the red caps, and we know the red caps from Holly Black in, that's Matic. He's a red cap, so we have that. That's really fun. So I imagine.
Oh, and aren't they're friends too? Yeah, they're friends. They have,
they're best friends.
Like, yeah. I was like, they have like a cottage together. They have like a best friend getaway cottage.
So I imagine all the red caps as Matic. So that's just where I was. I thought that was very fun. But they go invisible because Neen gave them a little potion, and they get to like sneak in, and they get to hear everything that goes on. in the throne room between the queen and the king of Unseelie. And like that is pretty cool. Meanwhile, Dearborn has passed the registry. Fuck him.
The registry that you have to register. All
Downworlders
have to be registered. That's what it is.
Yeah, they have to like carry a card and like have a number and stuff.
Oh my God.
It's so fucked up. And also happening at the same time is Kieran is at the Scholomance and he has been kidnapped and what's her name gets thrown into the hollow place, which is eldritch magic, which I love. And it makes you feel all the pain that you have caused. There's just like so much, but like all of that is happening. But if we're going back to Julian in the throne room, this is when we get Annabelle and we get Ash. You know, we finally get to see Ash and like interact with Ash, and we get Jace and Clary.
And we learn who Ash is. Ash is the son of the Seelie Queen and Sebastian Morgenstern. Yes. Was I supposed to? You didn't answer my question. Granted, I was just like spamming you all my reactions. Did I know that and I forgot? Or is this like, well, like we just found, like, oh my gosh, this is brand new information kind of thing in this book?
It has been rumored, like in the shadow, like in the books. It was like a rumor, but we, the reader, have a scene of Sebastian in bed with the queen.
Okay.
So like,
yes, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that scene.
From that, we extrapolate.
Okay,
yeah.
I just didn't use my critical thinking during that. Because, you know what, in my head, I'm also thinking, like, there's contraceptives. Not every, you know, just because people have sex doesn't mean the procreation's going on. So I clearly was just like, whatever, keep going.
No, I was thinking that was, like, because Valentine liked to experiment with, like, mixing different kinds of blood. I figured that they were doing their own kind of weird... and it ended up being that way. So we have Ash, and that is just like, so that is something that was like thrown in there. And when I read that the first time, I was just like, oh, Ash. But I love this exchange with Jason, Clary, and Emma and Julian, like in the cages and stuff. You know, Jace has stubble. I saw your note was like, fan art, please.
I love a little scruff going on. I do. I'm trying to imagine what Jamie Campbell Bower looks like with
a little bit of scruff.
And I was like, I can't. But like maybe Google, you know, TikTok, do your thing. I don't know. Show me something.
During this throne room scene, we have so much information. So we have the story about the first heir. The first heir being the child between the Seelie King and the Unseelie Queen, which was a girl, which was like, you know, kidnapped, but killed, whatever. She got away. And from that line, that is Kit. So the first heir is Kit's line. But then we have Ash, and Ash has had all sorts of like spells done on him. He's got like a big, like scar on his neck.
And Ash isn't from that. Ash is from the Seelie and Sebastian Morgenstern.
Yes. And Ash is the one that is spreading the blight. And we know from everything that we're going to learn that the blight will turn into doorways for demons to enter the world, which is very scary. So we learn all of that information. And then Jace, Clary, and Julian and Emma are rescued by Christina, and they're just like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? It's just amazing. And then here, it's just like the most amazing thing. Kieran, the king, dead. Kieran is, oh my gosh.
Kieran kills the king.
Kieran kills, it's just so fantastic. I just love Kieran so much. Like, so Kieran is the king of Unseelie. We love it. Christina helps. It's amazing. There's a giant, his body bursts into fire, right? And then it just like goes everywhere. I'm kind of speeding through this because we have Thule.
We have to get to Thule.
Thule happens right now, and Thule is very, like, this whole book is very bittersweet, but Thule is kind of hard, right? Like,
so remember, we said we were going to talk about Ty. We said part of his grieving process includes him not grieving because he wants to bring his sister back. So goes to, finds what he needs what are some of the components he needs for necromancy. And it included something from an alternate universe. We know alternate universes exist from the mortal instruments that go to hell, all that stuff.
Eat 'em.
And so here we are. So we know we exist. Now it's the how. So bodies disappear. They're in, the fairyland, they're in the Unseelie courts, and we get transported to Thule, which is an alternate universe.
The one that Clary was dreaming about in her novella, which is why she didn't want to say yes to Jace proposing to her, because she was looking at her like dead body.
Which she didn't know at the time it was an alternate universe. She thought it was her timeline. And as we know, whether if you follow, Everything Everywhere All at Once or Marvel, that you know that your dream sequences aren't necessarily dreams, but an alternate version and universe of you. So here we find out, and it's, it's confirmed that this Clary, this universe that Clary saw her dead is Thule. And this is the world if Clary died and didn't win this, didn't, save the world.
If Clary was killed in the Battle of the Burren by Lilith, that was the
it was very specific.
It was very specific. That was the deviation. Clary was killed by Lilith in Thule, and because of that, Jace lost all his motive. It all fell apart. It all fell apart because of Clary, and then she could do portals and she could make runes and all of it fell apart because of her. That I like Thule for that reinforcement that yes, Clary is important. Yeah, she's this annoying girl that we met in a mediocre entry series, right? But she is important because look what happened if she wasn't here. So I do like it for that kind of commentary. The time change is different here because right away Julian and Emma see Ash, and Ash is around 17, and he was just a few minutes before they fell through the portal. So that was really crazy. But what's the big thing about Thule? Big thing about Thule is fucking Sebastian is still alive. Fuck.
Sebastian is still alive, and there's no magic.
No magic.
There's no magic. There's no runes. Things aren't happening. Spells are being broken. If you have runes on you, the longer you're there, the less likely that they're going to stay on because nothing exists. It's just sad and dreary.
It's sad and dreary. I believe they say the angel is dead. They've killed the angel, so only demonic magic works. The sun is dying. It's just all really fucking awful. And and Julian and Emma right away see Jace fucking execute Maris, and my God, that I like that scene because it shows us right away that this is a very, very different place, right? Jace would never. He would never.
No.
But he does it without hesitation. I do like that.
Sebastian is very much like Valentine too, because he's you killed my mother in front of me. So Jace, this is your turn. You have to kill yours. The whole back and forth of it all. But Sebastian has that, we've talked about it. And, it's said in the books too, for the Mortal Instruments, that Valentine is very much, don't let him talk because he's very convincing.
Yeah. And scary convincing. Don't let him talk. And it's like that here. And Sebastian has taken over. He rules. He lives in Bel Air. He rules. He's got a whole situation going on here. During the time in Thule, Julian uses it to connect with Livy and really kind of see the life that she's made here and really just kind of come to terms with Livy, even though the whole time he's come back with me, come back with me, come back with me.
But he's able to process this loss and this grief too, because when they get to Thule, like we mentioned, there's no magic. So that magic that Magnus had over removing his humanity, he has his humanity here. He has his emotions, and so he can grieve his sister in a way that he needs to, while understanding it's not this is the Livy that he knows.
Yeah, and the Livy that this Livy is so different. I have like kind of a rundown of what happened. Cause Livy is very skeptical, obviously, you know, who the fuck are you? But like, Julian and Emma have runes. They're still visible. They like give off different like energy and vibes.
And she's seen everybody she cares about die in front of her. Tavi was in her arms. Ty was in her arms, and they were gripped out of her when they were, you know, homeless, sleeping under a bridge. So she saw Emma and Julian, which is also like, I didn't completely understand where she's like, you and Emma stayed back. Well, Julian, you told me to grab the kids and run. But then at the beginning, as they enter this world, we also still see Julian and Emma and all their PDA, like this Thul's universe of Julian and Emma.
They're in Darkened.
Oh, okay. They're in
Darkened. So Livy tells what happens. They were taken, or the children, you know, it all went to hell. So the children were taken from Idris to New York, and then New York fell, and then they went to Chicago, and then they finally went to LA. Helen was dead. Mark was in Ferry. Ty was killed by a demon. Tabby was ripped out of her arms. Julian and Emma sacrificed themselves. They became endarkened. Drew stopped talking, and then she just disappeared and like didn't come back one day.
Oh, and they said that they couldn't, she was like, they were starting to build that resistance in LA, but they don't have the resources to go out to everybody who wasn't coming back.
Yeah. And she's like, Ty's alive in your world. Like, oh my God.
The mirror of that whole thing.
So this whole time, because like Livy is saying this whole story of what happened to her, and she's like throwing back like slugs of whiskey, and as this just goes to the narration, because as she's telling the story, it is impossible, if you have had any sort of connection with any character, it is impossible for you to be okay listening to Livy like tell what happened. It's just the pain in the voice is just so amazing. You're just like, oh my God, Livy, like, jeez. And for us too, because it's like a double hurt for us too, because it's like, oh my God, that is the worst case scenario. Like that is the nightmare. Just horrible.
And then you hear her, like, they're talking about their, I say, like, Emma and Julian are talking about their world. And we, prior to going to Thule, we're like, oh my God, this is awful. You're heartbroken the whole time. And then you see, it's weird because it's like, oh, things could be so much worse. And you can tell that Livy was like, even with all the shit y'all have going on, that sounds so much, like, things sound so much easier, even though it's a struggle either way. Yeah. You know, it's not to diminish, you know, not to discredit or devalue anybody's emotions, but you can tell she's like, she's had so much loss. She's so skeptical. She has the mourning rune on her whole back. Julian's like, that's for Ty. And she's like, it's for everybody. Like it's for everybody. Like everybody. So it's, you can tell that Livy's like, I have to fight for something in this. I mean, she even says, flash forward to the end where she's like, I can't go back with you for any other reason that I can't just like have this whole world and have this whole resistance just to say, you know, do it on your own. I'm out. Good luck. Like she felt like she had this responsibility that it couldn't have been for nothing.
Another person that's alive in Thule is Rafael Santiago. And I just love Rafael. He's so sassy.
But he's still sassy. He's
still wonderful.
They were like, oh my God, like, you knew Magnus? They were like, yeah, like Magnus needed his kids after you.
It's like,
he must be so insufferable. They're like, yeah, I mean, like his kid's name is Rafael Santiago. Lightwood Bane.
Like,
make him stop. Tell him to stop.
It's like, this is so embarrassing. Tell Alec and Magnus to name the child something else. I cannot live like this. It's so fucking funny.
It's like, you know, Cassie did a credit for all of us to sprinkle in the comic relief when she did, to just like give you the chuckle where you're like, whew, I needed that breather. you know?
Yeah, because, oh, gosh, it's so much. Okay, I know that I have been harping on it from the very beginning, but like the importance of Church Cat
I
cannot,
love Church Cat.
his importance cannot be overstated or underestimated, because Church Cat is how we have Miss Tessa. Miss Tessa gives us Church Cat, you know? What is it? Seek church?
They said seek church, and everyone's like, do you know what this means? And I'm like, I do. I know Church Cat. I need to find him. Because Church, they might be in an alternate universe, but Church is still consistent because he's this creation from infernal devices, from all like the creepy, crazy, oh my God, the first book, the Clockwork Angel, you have the creepy basement with all the experiments. But you know, Church thrives on.
Church lives on. Immortal Church. We just love him. So we seek Church, and we find Tessa, but Tessa is as Jem, cause she knew that Emma would love to see Jem.
Which is so smart, where you're just like, Tessa is still clever. She's not in Darkened, but she's still like this clever woman in this alternate universe. And she even said, she goes, I will know if you're legitimately from this, because if you know that Jem is dead, you'd be shocked. You're just here. You were just happy to see him.
Yeah. And us too. It's like, oh, Jem. Hi, Jem.
Hi,
I
Jem.
love you. Hi, Jem. I love you, Jem. You're amazing. So it is from Tessa that we learn like what is going on. Tessa wants Emma and Julian to kill Sebastian, obviously. But the mortal instruments are sealed in the Silent City. So like, let's go get those bitches, right? Like we can do this. And if you take down Sebastian, then the Endarkened go down. If the Endarkened go, you know, it's all like dominoes effect. And then they can have a fighting chance, right? That's the whole thing. And then it's from Tessa that we learn that the warlock sickness turns the warlocks like into demons, like actual like demons. And then that the water from Lake Lynn cures warlocks. So we really love that. This whole situation where they go to the Silent City, right? And they like get in and they like have everything, and then they come out. And Tessa like does the magic, and Tessa dies, and like Raphael's holding her, and this whole like fucking battle. Oh my God, so stressful. This whole Thule section is just so sad and stressful.
It's all overwhelming. I mean, you feel like you just, again, it's painted in such a way where you imagine how desolate it is. It's very, I Am Legend, but like it's scary. Anytime something like this happens, I'm like dead. I am dead on sight because I have not a survival instinct bone in my body.
Just like no.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna. Why am I gonna struggle? Why am I gonna try? Like, y'all go on without me. I am not a mouth that needs to be fed. Keep on keeping. It's just not gonna be with me. I'm not gonna. Why am I gonna struggle so hard? I know. Like,
oh my gosh. But it's true though. It's true though, because like everybody like more or less like kind of dies here. You know, Sebastian is killed. Annabelle is killed. Julian gets his vengeance. We love that for Julian.
Yeah, we think she gets killed.
But like Annabelle, she's dead. We love Livy says, I'm not going back with you. I wrote a letter to Ty. Take this letter and give it to Ty. This is how we get the Ty. The letter to raise Livy. And then Julian gives Livy the cup and is like, you know, here, you will have a fighting shot. Maybe you can make more shadow hunters. You can ascend some people. You can have some fucking help. Maybe you can get some like magic going on. We love that. And then they leave Thule. You know, there's that club with Sebastian and like arms and hands in the ceiling. And there's like talk with Annabelle, and it's in Thule that Julian and Emma have respect for Cameron. And that is like kind of like a inside joke that is carried on when they get back. They're like so excited to see Cameron and they like really love to see Cameron. And Cameron's like, what the fuck? Y'all?
And because he and Emma were so on again, off again, all with the first book, he goes, I'm just he's like putting up his boundaries. He goes, I hope you know that like I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I hope you're not trying to get back together. And she's like, oh God, no.
Yeah, God, no. And Julian's also like, hey friend.
You know.
Like, what
Cameron just looked like over at Julian. He's like, what is going on? It was so chaotic. It was so chaotic. And she even said, she goes, I like Thule Cameron. I would have kept dating Thule Cameron if he was here.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. I love it so much.
And even without, because then Thule Cameron is dating Livy and like they're saying like how he worships her. And, you know, Emma's like, as he should. She is a baddie. Like she was a baddie before, but like here she runs this shit.
Super baddie. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay. I'm jumping.
We have to.
Horace Dearborn, the little cocksucker, has declared.
I wish I could do this whole episode without him, but I know that
he has declared that Clary and Jace are dead. They have been killed. They are using the evidence from what's his name that Julian murdered and that the Kelpie ate.
Well, they twist the whole story.
Yeah, twist it. They're twisted.
Dane, he came back and he's dead. And look what happens in Fairy. Look at these bite marks. They're savages. Blah blah blah. And this is just and then they have Dane's sister Samantha. She was hurt in this lake that they threw Kieran in face first. You find out Kieran tried to save her because she just slipped. So she's knocked unconscious, but they're just trying to create, like, spin this whole narrative because they're trying to, frame the Fairy to be like, look at Fairy, look at the Downworlders. This is what we're fighting against because they're trying to make everybody but themselves. They don't want to take any accountability for their action because of the coup, because of the uprising. They're just trying to put it on everybody else. So you have people, they're trying to rally people up out of fear. So people are going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Of course we're going to go this other way because look at what we're believing, what we're being told.
Yes, and that is mirrored in the final vote at the end, where people are very merciful, where we wouldn't be merciful. Okay. So the warlocks are cured. We love that. So now we have Magnus. Magnus is back. He's back at his full fighting strength, right? We got Gwen and we have Diana going in with the Hunt, who have pledged fealty to Kieran. We love that. We love a hot fairy threesome. We are all about a hot fairy threesome.
We love a hot fairy threesome.
We support a hot fairy threesome.
Not just a hot fairy threesome, but like a hot fairy, like polyamorous relationship.
Yeah. Gosh, they are so wonderful together. The communication, just the respect, oh my gosh, amazing. Magnus at his full power takes the spell off Julian. And then we have Livia's watch and we have Julian's meeting. We have the 2 meetings with Julian that he calls. We have all of it. Jess, what was that like?
He's so smart. He's so smart and brilliant and hard eyes all around towards him. I mean, I think I said this to you in the first book, maybe the second book, where I was like, please don't be mad at me. And you were like, why would I be mad at you? And then I go, I think I like Julian more than Jace. And I was like, Jace. And I was like, no, I'm a Julian girly. I'm a Julian girly through and through. And that just kind of is pretty consistent with this book too. And he's so, like, he knew what he was doing. And sometimes he needed some people to remind him because even Ty said, he goes, you ran the Institute. It's time, because that's when it sparked. When he goes, you ran the Institute. It's time for me. You know, you took care of us. It's time for me to take care of y'all. But what stuck with him was, I did run the Institute. That means I know where all the shit is and where I hid everything because I knew stuff like this would happen. And we knew that because look at what happened in the first book where they were like pretending they had pizza boxes. Like he had to be like quick on their feet about things.
It's so good. It's so good. So what did Julian do? Julian used all of Uncle Arthur's, or like his, but you know, he was pretending to be Uncle Arthur's, all of that contact material, and he reached out to everybody and they all came to the Institute and he held one general meeting and then he held a second secret meeting with all of his like known confirmed allies.
He invited everybody right off the bat because he needed the little like spies of Dearborn, who are not really spies, but they were supporters. They were spies and supporters of Dearborn to be like, oh my God, Julian's having this meeting. And so that's why they go back. And so he knew immediately, he knew it was going to get back to him. So he planned, like him and the team, they planned for, they were already 2 steps ahead because they knew how they were going to react. So they were already they were already on the offense the whole time.
And the cohort had sent the brother of the Eidolon demon that Julian and Emma had killed as a shapeshifter to spy on this meeting. And that was the spy that gave everybody away. Yeah, that was that. And then we have 2 very important things that happen right after this. The first one is Emma. So they all they go in Idris. They're all ready, whatever. And Emma goes to fucking destroy the Parabatai rune. She does it. She goes to do it. And I love that she not only does she go to do it, but it pops out for her. She's there. She's there. Fucking ready. She's so ready. And Julian is bestie. Maybe not tonight. Maybe not before a giant battle. Maybe not. Maybe we wait. Maybe let's reassess. Maybe we don't destroy the most powerful magical fighting bond that we have. Let's reassess after the battle. Bestie.
Yeah, it's I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no. But we need this to help us get over the finish line.
Yeah, regroup. And she's like, I guess I can wait one more day. It's okay. She couldn't. They couldn't. We know this. They couldn't. They get big. But at this point, it's we should wait. So we have that, and that's very dramatic. Emma has a lot going through her head there. It's very being in. I know we're really glossing over it, but that's just because there's so much in the book. But and that's a criticism people have too, is that being in these people's POVs is a lot of feelings and a lot of descriptions of feelings. But I like that, so it doesn't bother me.
To hear that people have criticism, I mean, to each their own. We have a criticism about the descriptors of cooking and preparation in the kitchen. Yes. So who are we to say? But I need those feelings. I think it adds to the story. There's so many different perspectives, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. I think it's necessary. I think I love that we have that because you're just the whole time. I mean, we talked about this before the episode where we were saying it's not just big feelings either. It's little feelings too. And I think that's just as important because how many times, where you hear people have discussions where it's it's not one big moment. It's a million little moments that add up to something. And that's exactly what this is.
And another perfect example of a million little moments that lead up to something is Ty finally raising Livy's ghost. It is so fucking heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I feel so bad for Kit. I sent you some fan art too. And Kit knows it's wrong. Kit knows it's wrong. But I feel that Kit is falling in love with Ty, and he doesn't know what to do with those feelings. And he just wants to be there for him. But, this is helping, but, and he's maybe it'll go wrong. Maybe it'll. Well, and then when they were, was it Shade? Yeah, it was Shade. He gave him Val gave him all the information, and he goes, but I didn't expect y'all to succeed. You to do it. Where the fuck did you get a letter from an alternate universe? What the fuck?
I told you, but you weren't supposed to actually do the thing. And I texted a couple times telling you, I'm I love that we're watching Kit fall in love, with Ty. And at one of the moments towards the end of the book, you have Ty, or you have Kit saying I love you. And, as the reader, I'm taking it as it's a romantic love. It's not, but they all love each other, whether it's romantic or platonic, whatever it is. So take it as you will. But this is also the first person that he's had as a friend. That's been drilled in this entire series, that he's, that this is somebody his age. They would maybe, and then they were talking about Parabatai with Livy, but then Livy was going to be with Ty. There's so many different relationships and connections that you just know that Kit and what we believe was falling in love with Ty. He wanted to also be an outlet and a resource for Ty, to as a friend, as somebody he could go to advice, as somebody he can trust. He didn't want to lose this trust. So he's like, I guess I'm in it for the ride. Then I can't remember who, but somebody told Kit, he says, sometimes being the friend is also telling them the thing they don't want to hear too. And Kit can't wrap his head around it either because he hasn't had those relationships. It's only been him and his dad up until this point because they were always on the run or moving or at a shadow market. Like, it was all some sort of ulterior motive.
And he's 15. Like, they're
all so young.
They're all so young, like they're 15.
But also to say that they are so young. There's a part where Izzy and Simon and Jason Clary, they're all there. They're like, oh my God, but they're so young. And I think Izzy goes, we did a lot of stupid shit when we were their age. Like, yeah, we think they're young, but I think I also had to remember that they're older now. So I think they even said that they're about like between 5 and 10 years older collectively compared to and I go, oh, I forgot. Like, they're not all the same age because as we know, from the end of Mortal Instruments, we know Clary's relationship of like little Emma was so young when all this happened, and how young they were because Julian was 12 when he was raising everybody else. So they were younger than 12. It wasn't like they were all 12 at this point. So now they're like 18, 19. So the age, I just really like Izzy was like, y'all, we literally saved the world.
Shut up. We were doing the same fucking thing. Like, damn. It's amazing. So this parlay that we have here in the Indomitable Fields, it's on big screen, right? Dearborn put it on big screen, little asshole. So good. When Julian et al. Comes like strolling down that hill, I was just like, oh, let's go. Let's go with some politicking. Let's politic so hard here. This is what I want. And they did. They politicked hard as fuck. And Oban is like, what is going on? It was amazing. It was amazing. I love it so much.
I just like each time where they just got called out on their shit. They're like, Jason Clary are dead. And they were like, this Jason Clary?
Bet.
They're like, that's a lookalike. And they're like, oh, we're the lookalike here. We're holding the mortal sword. You want to take this? Didn't you try to kill us? How about you hold the mortal sword and tell us your real plans? We didn't. I wasn't going to do that. Oh, then you should be fine taking the sword and telling us like what you actually did. And I love when people get served like that and they're like, like bad people. Like, it wasn't like this unintentional, like, I am so sorry, that wasn't my intention kind of thing. It was completely deliberate. And I love when people get served like that.
Yeah, and Dearborn was like, no, I don't want to tell the truth. War! And he is very manly. He's like, rah! And then they start battling. And then we have Christina killing Oban. And, Kieran, finally, becomes king. And then my favorite part of the battle is when Magnus and Ragnar come out, and of course Ragnar lives. But Magnus makes the sky. He makes the sky dark so the vampires can come out, and so everybody can. And that's just so fucking cool. And I remember everyone being like in awe of Magnus's magic and being able to do that, and just being like, "That's my fucking boy. That's my fucking boy."
Magnus, Team Magnus since day one. Yep. The one time that I actually got it right about somebody.
It's just so good. The battle is really crazy, but there's some points the riders of Manon go after Kit, and Kit exercises his power for like the first time. He says like something unlocks inside of him and he's able to like disappear, I think they're horses. And so the riders like fall to the ground. So
yeah, and he didn't even know he had the power. Mm-hmm. He found out that, this whole time, I mean, obviously, since we know from the novellas, The Ghost of the Shadow Market, one of the novellas in there, he doesn't think he has, he thinks he's kind of been written off by his mom, that she doesn't love him. Like, he has his own, internal, issues that he thinks it's like he's not good enough, all this stuff, all of his own internal thoughts. And then he finds out that they're the reason that he doesn't, not only that they're the reason he doesn't have a mom, but to find out that her last words were just begging to like that he's okay. Like, I feel like there was so much closure for him, and obviously like anger too. That's where it clicks. He doesn't know what happened, but he just like the rage took over.
She's like, fuck all of y'all. All of y'all, fuck all of y'all.
And he's the reason that Emma survived.
Mm-hmm. He absolutely saves Emma's life. And then he passes out, which, you know, people do after they exert power like that. And Jem takes him, you know, and we see him later. But then we have Zara and Emma's battle. And oh my God.
I hate her so much. I hate her so much. Obviously not Emma. Hate, double hate, loathe. To quote Mr. Grinch. So she's just the worst. These characters continue to be better people than both you and I.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, just like we've said in previous episodes where we're like, if there's no head, they're not dead. So I also feel like that mirrors here where, you know, you have like the quote unquote good guys always take the higher road. They're like, we should have redemption. We shouldn't have revenge, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, before this, there was already an interaction where Zara's just like mosey on up to the LA Institute. And she's like, you're not going to ask for your sword back? And I was like, I hate this person so much. And Emma's like, breathing, meditating. Like, that's not what this is about. And she's like, everything was always handed to you, Emma. And she goes, no, it wasn't.
It wasn't. My life is terrible.
She's like, just go. Leave everybody alone. And Zara is going, oh, well, you know what? If you don't come here in 24 hours, I'm going to do this to you. And I was like, then do it. Do it now. Because I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there in 24 hours. So I'm like, if you're going to do it, just, and of course, you call a bully out on their bullying. They don't know how to handle. She's never been able to handle anybody calling her out on her shit. And by her, I mean Zara. So now we fast forward to this fight. Same thing. Emma just like fucking slay. She is a queen. I love her in every capacity. And she's the bigger person. And she's like, just fucking go. Leave me alone. Just once again, I defeated your ass. And Emma turns her back and literally gets stabbed in the back by Zara. And I just never understand why people just don't follow through. Just like, I know it's like part of the story and like, that's what like the good guy always does or the good person, you know, whatever. But I just, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again. So just like, they're just, these characters are a better person than I am because I wouldn't, no, one, you know, what is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, two, and there's been multiple times, and every time I was like, I'm the better person, I'm the better shadow hunter, because you can't say shadow hunters are better because they're both shadow hunters. Just fucking unalive her.
She's terrible.
I'm sorry. I'm like ranting.
Yeah, she's terrible. She's absolutely terrible. So as Zara is stabbing Emma in the back, Julian sees Annabelle, which is not Annabelle, it's the Eidolon demon,
yeah.
but it just like triggers something in Julian. He's like, what the fuck? And he goes after her. And the Eidolon demon is just like, you killed my brother, you know, fuck you. And then Dane's Kelpie just like kind of like swoops in and saves the day. We love that. We love a callback.
And he winks. He's
like, hey, I told you, like, dead settled.
This is just like, it reminded me of ACOFAE and the Tithe, where the Selkies came. They were like, we got you, Feyre.
We got
you more.
But then Emma dies in Julian's arms, very tragically, very, very sadly, very sad.
Well, how about the fact, I mean, you sent me the text when you got to this part of the book where you were like, it's happening again. And at this point, like, I finally catch up and I'm like crying because now he's seen even though it was the demon, shapeshifted into Annabelle, his whole dialogue while holding Emma is referring to her as Livy. Like, if that, like, talk about heavy.
It was so heavy. And of course, at this point, you're just like, you know, it's all happening at this point. It's so emotional. Yeah. So Julian is like processing this at Limmy. He's like, oh my God, again, it's all happening again. It's so fucking sad for Julian. But then the curse is activated. Oh boy. And do they become monsters? They become huge, pure Nephilim. the curse has been like totally fulfilled.
Like the OG Nephilims from like the days of yore. What did Magna say? Like 800 years, or Jem said it was from 800 years ago. The Nephilim size of when demons of similar size roamed the earth, and part of that strength came from being parabatai.
Yeah, and oh my God, I remember reading this the first time, being like, okay, they're big, okay, but then when they started fucking murking people, and Julian was just like, oh, there's Dearborn, fuck you, and just like cracks his spine. It's just like, oh, fuck you in particular. It was like, oh, all of you over here in the Malachi configuration, double fuck you. Then I was just like, oh, this is kind of scary.
Yeah, they were like tag teaming everybody.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't realize who each other were, they knew that they were supposed to be working together. And by they, because it was both Julian and Emma who turned into like giant Nephilim. And even Jace is like, I'm here to help. And he's like, whoop.
Yeah, get fucked. Get fucked. The thing that I love about the fact that Julian and Emma get big is it's such a message, right? Because Emma later, when they come out of it, right, after the family, comes on the field and, talks them down, basically, like the whole family's out there, like screaming how much they love them.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with like, you need to stop, the war is over, because they realized, well, Drew realized, she's like, nobody's fucking listening to me. Like, somebody needs to listen to me. And finally, Helen, for the first time in their relationship since Helen came back into the picture, she's like, oh, finally, like my sister. She's like, everybody's tried, and even when they're going out on the field, everyone's like, we tried telling them to stop, we tried telling them the war is over, and they're like, well, that's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something completely different. And they just did that. They just said, we love you. Who's gonna be here? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna help me do this? And it wasn't about necessarily responsibility of upbringing, but you have Drew saying like, Emma, you're supposed to help me fight and kick ass. Mm-hmm. Like, I love the way you wield your sword. Are you going to teach me? Or like Ties, like I already, and Ties is obviously so sad, like coming to terms and acknowledging his grief, the whole admittance part of the process of like, I already lost Livy. I can't lose you too.
Oh my God. So fucking sad. So fucking sad. Okay. Okay. There's just so much. Yeah. There's so much. Okay. So they collapse. They wake up 3 days later. Emma and Julian, they are no longer parabatai. Okay. All right. They're happy. They start dating. All right.
Let's note that they're not parabatai anymore because they were giant Nephilim. They were burning with heavenly fire, and the heavenly fire is what burned the parabatai rune off of them. It wasn't like it didn't just happen.
Yes. So let's go through this meeting. Gia steps down. She is ill. There is a vote, and Alec becomes consul. Very cool. Very cool. The cohort. Through a vote. Yeah. Fair vote. And everybody, I like how they did that. Everybody voted. Everybody's going to vote. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're like, what if you're a criminal? They're like, nope, your vote counts.
Put your vote in. Yeah, everybody's voting. And we're doing it live. We're doing it right now. I really like that. So Alec wins, and then the cohort do a suicide like pact, right? The cohort and the guards and like Laszlo Baloff and like all of them are like, look, we're all going to kill ourselves, and you cannot create a new government of change on the dead bodies of all of us. Every time you come in here, you will be tainted with our blood. And Alec is just like, fuck you guys. It's just a place, and pieces out, and everybody leaves.
I understand. I need to hear your perspective because I understand the political part of it, because now he's the new, because do you really want to enter your new role with all this blood on your hands? I logically understand that. The other part of me is like, fuck it, then do it. Do it, and the world is better without you. This is just a place. We'll figure it out later. So then it's almost like two birds with one stone. You have, it's just a place, and then you have awful people unaliving themselves so they don't do awful things anymore.
Yeah.
And then Zara's pissed about it. Oh my God, stupid. So then she's like, would you really have been my friend if I told you that I didn't like downworlders and I didn't believe? And like, no, even if you told me that, no, I still wouldn't be your friend. So like, why is this even a conversation that we're having?
It's like, yeah, please stop talking. It's just, Zara, what are you doing? But like the thing, okay, here's the thing with the cohort. they are sealing themselves inside of Idris, of like inside of Alicante. They're not letting anybody else in. That's it. So like, what are they going to do? Like, they can't.
It didn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The Silent Brothers aren't with them. The Iron Sisters aren't with them, and there's nobody in or out. So unless they're all farmers, they're all going to starve, right? Like, and they did
it to themselves, and they even tried to like. And this is like the good person. Like this is why, like, everybody that we like, they're better people. They even try to say, you understand you're locking yourself in there. This means they're like, you won't have access to healthcare. You won't have access to this. You won't have access to that and the other thing. And they're like, they betrayed us anyway, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they didn't betray you. Like, it's such a statement because it's like, they didn't betray you. They supported what was right. You're mad that people don't believe in your wrong cause, in your wrong beliefs.
And that's why they're all just going to rot there, right?
Good.
They're all just going to rot there, which, fine. Kieran, Mark, and Christina, like, kind of had a breakup because Kieran has to, like, stay in Fairy because Fairy's connected to the land. We know that from the Cruel Prince and Holly Black. But then Adain gives him the cottage, so they have a little, like, place to go to, and we love that.
Like they have their own little Switzerland. Like, it's completely neutral.
Diego's going to be the Inquisitor, and then we end, there's an epilogue, but we end with a wedding. Jess, did you expect this wedding?
I didn't. And I will say this, because I remember I had confused something. We were reading one of the novellas and I go, wait, they're only boyfriends? I thought they were fiancés. I thought they were engaged. I had thought this whole other thing because I know that you had sent me a link from the Shadowhunters show that was on Freeform that there was a wedding. So I knew that there was a wedding. So then I was like, wait, am I mixing things? And you told me, you were like, you're mixing things. The wedding's from the show. And I was like, oh, okay. But I'm not. And you said, no, which you're always so good at, like, throwing me off, but not in a lying way. You don't troll me. You're just like, well, technically, that is from the show, which is, I'm sure, what you were.
It is from the show.
I sent you a link to the show. It
very
happened on the show.
Yeah.
And all I knew from the show was it was related to the mortal instrument. So I didn't factor all these other things in. So here we are. We have our Magnus Alec wedding. We have the proposal. You just everything about it. Everything about it. It was already planned. Everything, he had thought every little thing out, and everybody was there, and it was so beautiful, and it was so simple. And everybody was just happy and celebrating, and it was but at the same time, I understand where you're saying it's bittersweet, because at the end, not necessarily end, but, like the after party part of the wedding, you have like Julian and Emma just kind of like canoodling on the beach, and then you have Livy's ghost kind of playing in the water with Ty. You have Kit kind of onlooking, watching this interaction because he's the only other one who can see Livy. And everyone's, and Magnus is dancing with the kids, and Jace and Alec are just like, he's like, I'm so excited. Like, they're hyping each other up about like, bro. And Jace already tells Kit, he's like, I'm very secure in my masculinity, where I feel confident about sharing my emotions with my parabatai.
We love it so much. Oh my God. But it is bittersweet though, because like Kit and Ty are done. Like, they're done. They had a huge fight, a huge falling out. They are done. And Kit desperately wants to go to him, but like won't. He just won't. And like Tessa and Jem understand and like take him.
They understand. And, they were a little shocked at first. They were like, and I understand Kit's rationale. He's like, I wasn't really close with everybody, but I was close with Kit. Or I was close with Ty. And they had they had an exchange of words. They had some, and, some people do say, like, have very sharp tongues, and they say the very, like, things that can cut through a person. And then, like, where do you go from there? How do you take, and sometimes it's like, do you take ownership? Are you too embarrassed? You don't know how everybody handles the situation differently. And he told Ty, he's like, I wish I never met you, because he was hurt. He just said, I love you. And then Ty was like, my life means basically nothing because the only person I cared about is dead.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
So if you are still listening, thank you. The book ends with the epilogue of Ash and Thule Jace meeting with the Seelie Queen, who has decided.
So Thule Jace got through, like that. I'm hearing he got through that portal, bringing him to now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Very scary, very scary. We don't know where that is going to go. That's how the book ends. Okay. There is another like set of books coming called The Wicked Powers that is about Ty and Livy and like that situation. Yeah.
So, okay, when we first started recording, when I was starting to read Ghost of the Shadow Market, you said you cherry picked which novellas for me to read. And you said, don't read this one. And then you said, okay, now you can read the whole thing through, including that last one that I told you not to read. And you said that last chapter has to do with Ty being at the schoolman's.
Yes.
And so is it like the end of that book sets us up for the Wicked Powers?
Sort of. You'll see.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, where do we go from here? Because, and I say that because we know this book came out and it was released in 2018, but we also know that she's actively been doing The Last Hours with a new book coming out in currently slated for January 2023. Oh my God, I can't believe it's 2023. But with that, those are like past. I say past. Those are like with like the children of the Infernal Devices series. So what I guess there's no word on this new Wicked Powers with all the Blackthorn siblings and such.
It hasn't been sold yet. She hasn't been contracted for it yet.
Oh my God, people get on it. I wish I had money. I'd be like, here you go. Just make it for me, please and thanks.
But she's got it like all mapped out and stuff. So, you know, we're all just waiting. So we're waiting for the new release of The Last Hours, and that's what's going to tide us. So no, we don't know where we go from here really yet. We don't have a lot, except we have the letters from Blackthorn Hall or Blackthorn Manor.
I was going to ask, that's the online thing, right?
Yeah, that is Julian and Emma's travel year.
Oh, they gotta get more.
It is Julie. Okay. So, you know, this ends with Emma and Christina trying to like close her suitcase because they're going on a trip around the world.
Which is typically expected of shadow hunters to like also learn about the other institutes and like understand other cultures. So it's like when you're doing gen ed in undergrad.
Yes. That online series, which Cassandra Clare has said maybe she's going to like have it all like bound, which would be really nice, is part of Julian and Emma's travel year. And it's a series of like letters of like updates of everybody that's like going on.
If she bound that and if she did that on Audible, the way I would pay for James Marsters to narrate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? I know. It's so good. So we have that. I've told you this before, but I have purposely not read that so that I can keep it completely like separate so we can do that. So now I can just like go balls to the wall with that. I'm very excited. This has run long. We know this. Jess, do you like this book?
I love this book. I love it so much. I think I sent you a stupid audio. I sent you many, many audios over the last few days on this series where I was like, I just love that you like, we did it in this order and that you guided me in this order and you cherry picked the things that we need to do to have the impact the way it did. I would totally reread this again and I would only reread it. I feel like I would only reread it again in the order. I don't know. I feel like I can see why sometimes where you're just like, I'm going to pick up this book or I'm going to pick up when you just kind of want to be back into these worlds that you and characters that you love so much. At the same time, it's just like, you need to know what kind of emotional place you want to be in when you're reading this. Are you looking for big feelings? Are you looking for, I need to remember I'm a badass? Like, where are you mentally and where you want to be and like how you want to be comforted? But I would easily, I currently, okay, I'm going to guess for you series order. It would be Infernal Devices, Dark Artifices, and Mortal Instruments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't count The Last Hours because it's not done.
Okay.
It's not complete. So I can't count that. I can get that. But yeah, that is absolutely my order. Absolutely. The Mortal Instruments, as I have said, as we have said on this, is necessary, is 1,000% necessary. You have to read it. It is just not great, but you get from that, you get all of this. And this is so good. This book is a YA book about grief. And it does not shy away from the reality of grief or the like. I've said it before in Cassandra Clare books, like the thing happens. The bad thing happens. It always does. And it's how everybody deals with it that makes the story like that much more powerful, because they just do things that we wouldn't, right? Because they're better people than we are. But it is really special. And these characters like Julian and Emma, like I know a lot, like the criticisms is like a lot. The plot doesn't start till chapter 16, and up till chapter 16, it's just like descriptions of collarbones, cheekbones, and feelings in your stomach. But like, it's more than that, because trying to put words to grief is difficult in and of itself. And then having to do that for like 12 characters in like 12 different ways, I'm assuming it's a lot, is difficult. And it was done, and it was done well. And I do really appreciate that. So I really love these books, and like the representation is there. Of course, I can't speak on it. I'm a boring like white woman, but it's there. No one has said that it is harmful. And if it were, people would say it was. I'm confident in that. I'm confident. People would be bitching if it was bad.
There's a lot of things people complain about with Cassandra Clare, and I can be on my own soapbox for that, considering the discourse and conversation surrounding House of Dragons right now. But I won't. That's its own episode. When people want to be vocal about the things they want to be vocal about, do your own research when it comes to Cassandra Clare.
Yep. Do your own research. As always, do your own research. We are not experts, as we say.
So before we have this episode go longer, sorry, Editor Sam, please feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us with this. We could clearly go into this episode some more. We might down the road. But as always, we appreciate you listening, and thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.